Hello, and welcome to our webinar on email best practices. My name is Kim McDonald. I'm the Director of Sales and Client Services at Inbox Marketer. Today, I'll be speaking to you about email best practices and reviewing some of the things that you'll need to know before starting up your email campaigns. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn. At Inbox, we associate best practices with everything we do. Over the years, the industry has become more complicated with new rules and guidelines popping up all the time. So at Inbox, we created this wheel of best practices to help keep us up to date. We have best practices that we apply when creating templates, when we deploy messages, when we receive data in terms of bounces, opens, clicks, and we apply best practices as we refresh customer databases post-deployment. Today, I'm going to review some of those best practices associated with creating your email template. If you are interested in hearing our full 2-hour presentation, which covers all quadrants of our best practices wheel, please feel free to contact us to set up a date and time. When creating your template, it is important that you are optimizing for email, and it's important to recognize that designing and coding for email is very different than designing for the web. The newsletter example on the right is one that follows many of our design best practices. This email is scannable, easy to read, has great eye flow, and it has a nice balance of graphics to text, to name a few. When coding your template, it's important to keep the file size below 30K to ensure proper image downloading and just overall deliverability into the inbox. A file the size of even 20K is better because we know some ISPs will give a heavier spam score to messages that are over 20K. When creating content, you need to take into consideration how people read when they're online. Eye tracking studies and heat mapping show us that the typical reader will start near the top left, work their way down the body of the email, scan the info on the bottom, and then shoot up the right-hand side. So you can see it's a crazy U pattern, and it's important to know this so you can arrange your content accordingly. In a newsletter, we'll usually place the articles on the left and the ads on the right. When designing your email, it's important that you design for the preview pane. A 2008 study from Marketing Sherpa reported that 53% of recipients are viewing their emails within the preview pane. Knowing that most recipients have their images turned off by default, you wouldn't want to have one large image in the preview pane and risk your customer seeing nothing but a red X or empty white space. You want to design the preview pane so it utilizes both graphics and text. By including text in the preview pane, for any recipient that has their images turned off, they could still see your call to action or offer and decide whether they want to open your email in its entirety. It's important to stay above the fold, meaning you don't want to create an email that's going to scroll on for 2 to 3 pages. We know from studies that every time a recipient needs to scroll down another page, the click-through rate can drop dramatically. One study we ran showed click-throughs dropping by half every screen they had to scroll through. Try to keep your email to one page to optimize those clicks. Another best practice when designing your emails is to create a wireless version in addition to the HTML and text version of your email. Place a link at the top of your HTML that says something like, "View this message on your handheld." And when recipients click on that link, they are taken to a web page that'll serve up a condensed version of your text, only highlighting the key points of the email. When creating your mobile version, you need to remember that the average handheld screen is 2 to 4 inches, so you want to keep each line to approximately 7 to 8 words, and no line should exceed 40 characters. We know that most mobile platforms will show anywhere from 20 to 40 characters in 12 to 15 lines per screen, depending on the screen width and the type style. So keep all these things in mind when creating your wireless version. Don't forget about social sharing. If you want your email to be forwarded, be sure to include the appropriate social media buttons, such as Facebook. Social sharing is the next generation of forward to a friend, where you can share an email or a link within the email with your entire social network. When using social sharing, educate your readers. Don't just drop icons into your message template and expect sharing to take off. Highlight your social sharing option in your welcome messages and regular mailings. For maximum exposure, launch your social sharing in a special message or devote prime space in your regular message. Most of all, test, test, test. It is the key to incorporating social media into the mix. And finally, subject line survival. We know that email clients such as Hotmail truncate at 45 characters. So when you're creating your subject lines, shorter is better. Try keeping it under 35 characters in length. Personalization, should you? Names catch the reader's attention. Using the recipient's name in the subject line can help you break through the clutter. A couple more best practices when it comes to subject line survival. Try to include the brand name in the subject line. And finally, always answer the question, what's in it for me? Thank you for watching. To receive more information on email best practices, be sure to sign up for our full 2-hour seminar. Just go to the Inbox Institute at www.inboxmarketer.com.